Hello, so I'm going to do the odds so you can check your answers. I'm doing the domain in set notation, so I'm going to start here at 2 with this endpoint. I'm going to say is less than because it's an open circle, and then I'll put my x because domain is x. Closed circle, so I'm going to say less than or equal to, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the other endpoint. All right, that set notation in interval notation, I'm going to put parentheses because the 2 is not included, comma, and then I'm going to put the 5 because that's the other endpoint, and I'm going to use a square bracket because the 5 is a closed circle. And the range is going to be my y values, so I'm going to go from bottom to top, so that would be -1 to +1. All right, if I come over here, so I'm going to do -1, and starting at the bottom, that's a closed circle, so I'm going to use less than or equal to. Now I'm going to put a y because it's range, and then I'm going to say less than because it's an open circle, 1. And then in interval notation, that would be -1 for the bottom with a square bracket because it's a closed circle, comma, and then I'm going to do a +1 with parentheses because it's an open circle. And if I do my vertical line test, that is a function. Over here, if I'm looking at this guy, I do have 2 separate intervals because it goes from 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be -4 to -2. And notice it's closed circle, so that's going to be with the square brackets. All right, and then this goes from -1 to +4, and I have the u. And then now looking at 5, circle the graph that best represents the function with zeros, -3 and 2. So the zeros are the x-intercepts. So there's -3 and there is 2. Number 7, it says I want the inverse, so that it's got to be flipped over. The key with inverse, is you want this, it's got to flip over this line y equals x. All right, and so that means every point here is going, the domain and range are going to be switched. So if I have this point here, which is like -1, 2, that means it would be 2, -1. There should be a point over here. All right. So this guy is, if I look how these are flipped over. So, and again, this would fold over. So if I look here, I've got -1, 2, 2, -1. All right, so this point goes to there. So there we go. And this would be like -1, 2, 3, 4, -4, 2. So this would be 2, -4. So this point went across the line y equals x. So this would fold onto here. So I'm going to choose B. So I'm looking for the inverse. All right. So I'm going to switch my x and y's, right? This is real. F of x means y equals -3/4 x plus 12. All right, f of x means y. Now I'm going to switch the x and the y. So I'm going to say x equals -3/4. Wish I brought my pen home. And this y, because x becomes a y, and then I've got a plus 12. All right, now I'm going to try to get the y by itself. So I'm going to start with, the opposite of PEMDAS here. This plus 12 is the farthest away, easiest to pick off. So the inverse of plus 12 would be minus 12. So I'm going to do that on both sides, right? Can't combine these, so this is going to be x minus 12 equals, and then I've got my negative 3/4 y. All right. So now I want to get rid of the 3/4, right? So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 3/4? 4/3. That's the same as dividing. All right, and then I want to get rid of this negative, so I'm going to multiply by a negative. Boom. And so I'm going to do that over here. Negative 4/3. All right, so 3 cancels out, 4 cancels out. Negative times a negative is a positive y. And now I'm going to distribute this, so I get negative 4/3 x. And then a negative times a negative is going to be positive. And then 4/3 times 12, I'm going to do that on Desmos. And I get 16. All right. And then you can rewrite this as f, right, to the minus 1, because that means inverse of x equals, that means that's my inverse for my y, and that would be negative 4/3. Notice the reciprocal, right? That's the inverse of that. And the inverse of, oh yeah. And then I've got plus um, 16. Alrighty, and that is my answer. So now what I'm doing here is I'm going to work my way from the inside out. So I'm going to write f of negative 3. So I'm going to write f and put in negative 3 in wherever I see that x. Negative 3 plus 6. All right. And I'm going to put this into Desmos. And so I get f of negative 3 is going to equal 27. Now, so this right here, that is 27. So I'm going to put 27 into G. So I'm going to do G of 27 equals, and then I'm going to write G. So that would be 2/9. But instead of x, I'm going to put in 27 minus 4. And then I'll just put that into Desmos. All right, so G of 27 is going to be 6 minus 4. That would be 2. All right, you put that into Desmos and you get 2 for that. And that's it. And now I'm looking at the transformations, all right? So here's my original function. Here's the transformation here. Well, I know it's skinnier, so it's stretched, all right? So it's either B or D, right? It's stretched out. The 1/3 would make it flatter. So, and it is reflected across the x-axis, so they're both negative, all right? So that checks out. And now it is, my vertex is up 4, right? The vertex was here at 0, 0, and then it went up 4. So that's going to be this guy, the up 4, so it's going to be B. All right, that would move it up. And then now I've got, oops, I'm going to 15. So, What are the transformations? All right, so I know this outside bit here is going to make it go down. 71. I know this inside here is going to be horizontal, and it's always the inside, the horizontal is always opposite. So instead of going to the right 20, it's actually going to go left 22. And then this in front, this negative, is going to be a reflection. Across remember, this is, if it's in front, that is like the opposite of the, this is, f of x is y, so it's the opposite of the y's. So the y's go, so that's vertical. It goes from here down to here, right? Positive y to negative y. And so it's going to cross the x-axis. All right, very good. That, oh, one more page. So that you've got for 17, you've got the range is 0 to infinity. So remember, range is always bottom to top. So 0 to infinity. Here's the bottom, that's at 0, and then it goes up forever, so that would be to infinity. All right, so that would be that one. This one is going to infinity down here. So this one starts at 0 and goes up to infinity. Now here's the difference. This is also 0 to infinity, but notice this is a horizontal asymptote, right? So it approaches 0, but it never gets to it. Okay, so this would be would be parentheses. All right, this one would be 0 to infinity, but since this is a horizontal asymptote, 0 is not included, so it's not that one. It's just these two in the middle. All right, and I'm just going to do this one real quick because people did struggle with this on the quiz. So if I have f of 3, that means x is 3. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, but this means this means x equals 3, right? If it's inside here, right? If it's inside, that means x is 3. So 1, 2, 3. What is the y? Come over here, and it would be 2, 3. It would be negative 4. Okay. And then now here, again, that's x is negative 4. Go down to the function and then figure out what the y is. Now this one means y equals 2. All right, so if y is equal to 2, here's my y is positive 2, come over to the function, right? Start at y equals 2, go over to the function, and then go down to figure out what the x value is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The x value is 5. And then this, you do the same thing. So is this a function? Well, I'm going to do my vertical line test. Only crosses once. So yes, it definitely is. All right, very good. Have a great weekend.